Every Bible you have ever used, no matter what language, ultimately derives from manuscripts such as this, the Leningrad Codex, and there are a number of other important manuscripts that they might have come from too. This is a facsimile, and when you jump into a manuscript like this from before the printing press, when the Bible was handwritten, where there were notes, when there were interesting mnemonics and things like that, and even erasures that you can see the scribe crossing things out, it's a very different experience. And so what I want to do is teach you how to use the great Hebrew Bible manuscripts. The greatest obstacle to studying a text such as this is that you don't know where you are. You just get lost in the ocean of biblical text. So for here example, at the top of this page, it doesn't say the book of Numbers. We need the editor to tell you that this is the book of Numbers. And if you look on the page, there's no place where there's actually a chapter, because chapter divisions, the way we understand them, were not invented for another 500 years. So there's no book title, there's no chapter title, there's no verse number. That was another 500 years. And so basically you're lost. Where are we? What is this? How can we know our way around? So there are a number of signs along the way, almost like the compass pointing north, that can tell you where you are in the giant Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible. So let's take a look over here. We're going to start at the very first page, the beginning of Genesis. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And so we have the beginning of the Bible. And what we see here is 3 columns. 1, 2, 3. And Hebrew moves from right to left. So 1, 2, 3. And what this means is that we have a basic biblical text, nothing special or fancy. I'll tell you what that means later on. But for now, this is your basic biblical text, 3 columns. So whenever you see yourself having 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, that means you're in a general, regular biblical text. Okay? So this is the majority. So if I randomly open this page, there's a good chance it's going to be 3. 3. It doesn't matter where you go, there's a good chance it's going to be 3. So 3 columns is how the scribes of the grand manuscripts such as this would write their text. There's sometimes variation in this, but it still sticks to the 3 columns. So here we're in the book of Ezra, in the 2nd chapter, and we are going to have a list. So we have column 1, column 2, and column 3. At the bottom of column 3, it seems to diverge into 2 little columns. And if you look over here, on the next page, it continues, and it goes all the way down here. So it's almost like that, and it goes here too. So it's almost like this is not 1 column, but 2 columns. So that's not the case. This is still the regular 3-column system. What's going on here is that you have a list, and you still have to read it as 1 column. So this is going to be Hanatinim, the temple servants, B'nai, sons of Tzicha, the sons of Tzicha, B'nai, the sons of Chasufa, B'nai Tabaot, etc., etc. So it's not like you read all this down and then this down. You do 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. So it's really 1 column. And what the scribe was basically doing was saying, hey, we have a list here. We can make this look really pretty. And so that's what the scribe decided to do. What I want to show you here is I have a few printouts of interesting texts, many from the Jewish Theological Seminary where I teach Biblical Hebrew. But this one is actually from Oxford in the Bodleian Library. And what we see here is, for the first time I've ever seen this, is we have 1 column, but it's actually split into 3 parts. It's still 1 column. What this is the kings that Joshua had conquered. So it's not king, 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 melech, 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 all the way down. King, 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 king. That's not how you read this. It's 1 column. So melech, king, Yericho of Jericho, echad, 1. And then let's do over here. Melech, Yarmut, echad, the king of Jarmuth, 1. Melech Lachish Echad, the king of Lachish, 1. So even though this looks like 3 columns, it's actually 1 column. You need to read just like line 1, 1, 1, line 2, 2, 2, line 3, 3, 3. So these are your basic biblical texts. And now what I want to show you is that there are 3 books that are entirely different in the manuscripts. And these are the books of Job, the book of Proverbs, and the book of Psalms. In English, the acronym for this would be JPP, which means nothing for us. But let's take a look at the Hebrew. The name for Job is Eov. The name for Proverbs is Mishlei. And the name for Psalms is Tehillim. Actually, no mem there. No yud there. Okay, so what we end up having is an acronym. Instead of JPP, in Hebrew we get Aleph, Mem, Tuf. And Aleph, Mem, Tuf is the word Emet. And Emet means truth. So there are 3 books in the Bible that are called the books of truth. Not because the other books aren't true, just because when they line up, you get this mnemonic. And these 3 books are grouped together because they are found in the writings, in the Ketuvim, and they have 2 columns. So this is our first change. If you see yourself having 2 columns of text, 1, 2, 1, 2, that means that you are in one of these 3 books. So you can immediately narrow down. If it's a proverb, you're in Proverbs. If it's arguing with God, you're in Job. If it's praising God or asking for help, you're in Psalms. Right? So that's how you're going to be able to navigate. So for example, we see Psalms 24, 7b ... So you're in Psalm 24 right here. And the way you would know that you're here immediately is you would see the 2 columns. Now, sometimes, I don't know if it's because the scribe wanted to make things beautiful, or perhaps sometimes the scribe got a little bored, but if you look here, there are little patterns of these 2 columns, where you can have like a line, and then space, space, a line, space, space, a line, space, space, a line. You can get that, and those are easy to look over. For example, in this manuscript, it probably took me years until I noticed that. I just didn't pay attention to it. But you can also get something pretty amazing, like when lightning strikes. So here the scribe said, you know what? This particular column in Psalm 73 is going to get the lightning strike. And I don't know why it was this psalm. Maybe it's related to the text. My hunch is that it's not. But for whatever reason, the scribe was able to do this. And there are a number of cases when you get something fancy. So this is still our regular 2-column text, but we have the special lightning strike. So at this point we know that the 3 columns are for most biblical texts, and we now know that towards the end of the Bible we get a huge chunk of 2 columns. So this kind of separates the last books of the Bible with everything that came before. But there are still other ways to separate in between those 3 columns of text. Let's start over here. On this page, in Exodus 14, we begin with a regular 3 columns of text. So we have our regular biblical text, and then all of a sudden, we get 1 column. This is 1 column. These are notes on the side. So this is not part of the text. This is the text right here. It's 1 column. And as you notice here, there's a lot of spacing in between. And it's almost like, people call this a brickwork pattern, where one line, this line right here, holds up this line, and then this line holds up this line, and then this line holds up that line. It's kind of like stacking bricks, one after the other. And what we actually have here is a song. And there are 3 times in the Tanakh that you're going to have 1 column, and it's going to be 3 different songs. Why only 3? I don't know why. Perhaps there should have been more, but at least these 3 are the ones that are usually going to get some special treatment as a single column. And so this goes all the way to the next page, and we see the beginning of the column. You also get some pretty notes over there because it's an important passage. And this is the Song of the Sea. Az Yashir Moshe Uvnei Yisrael et Hashira Hazot. At that time, Moses and the children of Israel sang this song, Ladonai, to the Lord. Vayomru le'emor, and they said, saying, Ashiru Ladonai ki ga'al ga'a. I sing to the Lord because he is most mighty. Susu rochvo rama vayam. The horse and its chariot, or horse and its rider, he tossed into the sea. Okay, so this is going to be the Song of the Sea. And I just want to show you one of the interesting things about Jewish tradition is how this has actually been kept for at least 1,000 years. Let's take a look over here. I printed this out. This is what the Torah scroll in the synagogue I belong to. This is what the Torah scroll looks like today. It's a typical Ashkenazi, Eastern European tradition, but you can find a Torah scroll like this in pretty much any Jewish tradition. All right, and so what we have is that 1,000 years after this text was written, the Torah scrolls are mirroring this in every way possible. So you see there's 5 lines at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's take a look at the first word on each line. Haba'im, haba'im. Bayabasha, bayabasha. Adonai, Adonai. Mate, mate. B'Mitzrayim, B'Mitzrayim. So the exact lines are lined up perfectly between this and this. And so codices like this were influential in making sure that people knew how to write a Torah scroll. And then you can see the brickwork. And it's the exact same thing. Like, let's just say in the middle, let's just find this middle random line. Markavot Paro, Markavot Paro. Let's find another one. Ele Moav. Let's put it on the next page. Ele Moav, exactly where you would expect it to be. So this is the one column. So we already know that, okay, the first kind of mile marker in the Bible, in the Tanakh, is going to be the Song of the Sea. What's before that is Genesis and the beginning of Exodus. And then the rest after it's going to be the Torah until you get to the next song. And that is the Song of Moses. And here we see Moses is about to die. Hazinu hashamayim v'adabera. Listen up, O heavens, give ear, and I will speak. V'tishma ha'aretz imri fi. And let the earth hear the words of my mouth. And so we're going to have the same concept in the Torah scrolls. It's going to look exactly the same. And we have one column, even though it looks like it's broken, right? This looks like it's broken. No, this isn't column 1, column 2. You read it line 1, line 1. Line 2, line 2. Line 3, line 3. It's one column that goes all the way through. And I'll just say, to me, this is a conundrum. I have no idea why it's like this. If anyone on YouTube knows why. This is Moses dying, but it looks like it's crossing the sea. You see that? Like the parting of the sea? I don't know why this one is the parting of the sea, but this one, the actual parting of the sea, is the brickwork. So to me, I don't know why this one is this way and this one is that way, but to me it's just a conundrum. And then so there we've gotten from the beginning of Exodus to the death of Moses, and now we get to Devorah. We have in the book of Judges, Deborah sings a song in Judges chapter 5. And so what we're going to have over here is her song laid out like the brickwork we saw by the Song of the Sea. So this is going to help you navigate your way through these texts. These are the 3 songs. We know about the books of truth, the Sifrei Emet. We know about 3 columns, 2 columns, 1 column. And now I want to show you something I was thinking about not showing you, but it's fun, so I'll show it to you. I want to show you kind of like where all this stuff breaks down. There's one scribe who wrote a codex in the Jewish Theological Seminary Library. And again, you can come study with me online at JTS, Biblical Hebrew. And we're looking at, this is from the 1300s. And this scribe, you can see, is a gorgeous writer. This is almost like you put in Microsoft Word and formatted it specially to make it look how everything lines up. This is a gorgeous 3 columns. Let's just compare, for example, these 3 columns. This is much more put together, much more fancy. This is more a little rough around the edges. Okay? So this scribe is really good in that sense, but this scribe also, I have a feeling the scribe got bored. I'm not sure. But the scribe just said, hey, you know what? I want to do things differently. Instead of doing, for the Sifrei Emet, the books of truth, 2 columns, I'm going to do 3 columns. But I'm going to kind of make them fuzzy. So 1 line in, 1 line out, 1 line in, 1 line out, 1 line in, 1 line out, 1 line in, 1 line out. Right? And so what it is, it's almost like you're reading the text, but it's fuzzy. It's not a big difference, but it's interesting. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. This scribe is going to do lots of things, and it's going to basically say, I'm done with these restrictions. So here on a random page, for no apparent reason, the scribe says I'm going to have 2 columns, followed by 3 columns. This is not the beginning of a book. This is not a song. There's no reason to have this. So this is just completely unusual. Over here, we have the scribe saying, I think the scribe was either bored or showing off, but the scribe basically said here, I am not doing these regular columns. I'm going to do these kind of like bow ties, 3 bow ties, 1, 2, 3. And this is not really good for reading. Let me show you what I mean. Look right here. See this down here? This line, this is 1 letter. That letter isn't vocalized. It doesn't have vowels, so it's not pronounced. This is just a filler. This line is filler. So we have 2 lines of filler, 3 lines of filler, 4 lines of filler. Basically, the scribe is making it look nice, but this is impossible to read if you're trying to read the Bible. If you want to read your Tanakh, this is fake, this is fake, this is fake. These are all just fillers to look nice. It's almost like you want to put it on your wall instead of in your library. That's kind of what's here. Here we see this, this one, I've never seen anything like this, 1 column. Right, this is another way to write 1 column. It reminds me of a chess piece. They say chess did exist at that time, so maybe, I have no idea, but it reminds me of a modern contemporary chess piece. And this is the last one I want to show you because this was just, to me, was the most mind-boggling one. I saw this a few times in the manuscript, and I was saying to myself, what is this scribe doing? This is actually upside down. I was like, what is this scribe doing? What are these? And I was thinking maybe like arrows, or maybe like a lampshade. And here's the lamp. I really had no idea what these were in the 1300s, what this was. And then it dawned on me that this was actually a complement to this page. So this page, if you fill in the negative space, here's that diamond. Here's that diamond. And then here's the triangle. And then here's the triangle. If you fill in the negative space, these are actually complements of each other. So this scribe was definitely interested in art much more than the biblical text. So I wanted to show you that because it's fun, but essentially this is what I think happens when a scribe gets bored. This is the main point. Here we go, and this is the main point of the lesson, is that you can basically, even without these things at the top, you can basically know where you are in the Tanakh based on 3 columns, versus 2 columns. And then even if you're in the 3 columns, you can find mile markers along the way, like Moses' 2 songs or the Song of Deborah. And that's it. This is the first of a number of lessons for learning to read biblical Hebrew manuscripts. I look forward to seeing you for the next one. And if you're interested in studying biblical Hebrew, come take my classes online at the Jewish Theological Seminary.